let's get it in this video. Hi everybody, my name is Isa and I'm a potter. I'm going to show you how I make my handles. So these are my mugs. Here's my little stampy. Decent. And I pull my handles. Let's get into it. So first thing I do is I get a big ball of clay. Usually it's bigger than this. I have like a big ball. And I get it wet. I don't think you can see. Let's move you a tad. Is this a good angle? There we go. That's perfect. This is my bucket of water, and I get it wet. And I kind of do this motion where I'm using my hand to, I'm also using gravity. I'm not doing it all at once a pull. I'm going kind of smaller pulls and equal pressure throughout. So you can kind of see I'm doing like this motion. Okay. And I'm going like this one way, and then I'm going to switch it so that it doesn't, so it gets the whole piece in general. So you can see, like this is, I kind of like it more flat, but right now I'm making it kind of round because I'm going to take this, oh my gosh, you are not showing what I want you to show. Let's move you once more. I'm going to take this, have a clean bat, and I'm going to place it however far I want, and I'm going to push down. So I'm doing that over and over and over and over until I have a lot of them. So this is kind of what it looks like. And these are my many. So I make a bunch. So I've already done a whole ton of mugs. These are all I have left. But so first I make these, then I trim my pot, and now we're ready. I wrap these up nice and tight. Put that away so I can use it later. Let me move this bad boy. Oh my gosh. So I have all of my handles. They're pretty much just sausages. Wrap them up nice and tight so they stay pretty wet while I trim. And now I've trimmed. Now I have this trimmed, the lighting is just kind of tricky. This trimmed cup. And now I'm going to put a handle on it. So this is what I use. I have one of these. I made this myself. It is pretty much just pins. It is just pins. And I used epoxy, and I just kind of made this. So you can buy one, but why buy one when you have pins laying around and they do just as well. So maybe another video if you guys would like. Let me know. I can do a how-to on this thing because it is a very helpful tool. I'm going to use my needle tool. Everyone should have one of these. A brush. Doesn't really matter which one it is, but I like this one just because I feel like the ones that are kind of like this shape, kind of square shape versus round, I feel like these are kind of harsher than the round. The round ones are less harsh and it holds water better. I feel like it just dispenses water better. I have two types of sponges, but this one's pretty much all I use. Use this one sometimes. This is from Mud Tools. This was the correct way. Mud Tools. It is pretty much just a beauty blender. If you like makeup and you have a beauty blender, I imagine you could just use one of those. But anyways, these are This is just a regular sponge. It comes in a full circle, but I've cut it in half because I like to use half of it. I feel like it holds better in my hand and also I like using this edge. So that is just a trick, but that's all I do. I have my bucket of water, and yeah, let's get started. When I hold a handle, thinking about where you want to place it, I kind of want to do it down here, because if you do it too far up, it's just gonna feel awkward, and you want it to be in a place where it kind of even out. Hello, it is editing Isa. Keeping in mind that where you place the handle will help to distribute the weight, so you don't want to put it too far up if that doesn't feel right, and you know, kind of thinking where the weight is, and when you lift it you want it to be even. So I think that's what I'm trying to get across. I'm not sure if I'm succeeding even now. Bottom, because I feel like that just gives it a nice hold, and it just makes sense for this shape. You can also do it in the middle, but mine kind of just goes like that. So that's how I'm going to show it. With this pulling technique, you can do whatever you feel. It's kind of like this is how you do it, and you can decide how you want to change it up, and that's the beauty of pulling a handle. So first I'm going to use this scratching tool, and since I want it to be kind of in a little bit lower than the top, I'm going to scratch one way. Taking my brush, I'm going to dunk it in some water, and I'm going to add water to that. So this process, I'm going to scratch it again the opposite way, just so it makes it nice and watery. This process is called scoring and slipping. Score and slip. So you're scoring it, and then you're adding water to it, or you can add slip to it, but I think water works just as well, and slip you have to make slip. So this does it just as fine. So I'm using water. Alright, once we get that all scratched up, I'm going to go ahead and take one of my little sausages that I made earlier, and I'm going to hold it into my hand like this. Okay, so I'm just holding this portion. I'm going to take my finger like no, and I'm just going to start tapping it. You can even use your pointer and like poke it. I like to tap. And I'm going to turn it and tap some more. So what is this doing? It is flattening it out. It is creating more surface area for us. So you can see this is what we had, and this is what we have. So you'd rather put this one on there versus this one, because this is more surface area. It can attach better, and you'll see that it just works better. So we're going to do the same thing that we did to our form. I'm going to take my scratching tool. We're going to scratch one way, add some water, scratch the other way, and even one more way. So there you go, you can see. Pretty intensely scratched, I do say so myself. So I can even add more water to my piece just if it dries out a little bit to that scored area. And now I'm going to attach it, so I'm going to put these scored pieces together. And I'm kind of like moving it back and forth and pressing it in, because I want these pieces to be one. I want them to combine. I'm going to take it in my hand like this. I'm going to take my two thumbs. I'm just kind of going like this, smoothing it out. You can see, taking my pointer finger. This is an important part. You want it to become one. Making sure that it's straight on there. So it's just straight on. It's level with my eyeballs. Think it's level. Pressing it in, making it one. Right down here, I don't really like how that's kind of indented. So I have some extra clay. I'm going to take some, roll it into a little sausage, add some water to that area, and I'm just going to add some clay to that. And now I'm going to press it down. You can even use your scratch tool to kind of like scratch it into combining. because this helps to add that clay back in. You can see, like, oh my gosh, this is gonna drive me crazy. You can see I added clay, taking some water on my finger, and I'm going to smooth that out. So I want this to look pretty, I want it to look like it's coming out of my piece, like it was just there, like it was just jumping off of it. It's a part of it, is what I'm trying to say. It's a part of it. So even the top portion, I don't like how this portion is looking. Take some clay, roll it into a sausage, flatten it, add some water, and put it on that bad boy. Using my fingers. I'm really making sure that it's on there and it looks cohesive, because you can't really come back to this point where it's nice and, well, it's where it's easy to kind of smooth it out. Okay, so right now this is what it's looking like. I am enjoying it. I like how it's looking. So now we're ready for the next step. Get ready. Moving you once more to right here. Alright, so I'm going to hold this, I'm right-handed, so I'm going to hold this with my left hand, and I'm going to take my right hand. I have water. It's kind of, there's some pots at the bottom that didn't quite make it, but mostly just water. And that's what you want. You want a water bowl. Let me move this up just a tad. There we go. Okay, so I'm holding with my left hand. With my right hand, my dominant hand, I'm going to have water. Water is your friend at this point. And I'm going to do the same motion that I did to make these little buggas. Wrap them up there so they don't get dry. I'm going to take my hand, dunk it in, and I'm going like this. And I'm going to pull down. I need more water. I am not doing a full pull. This is really repetitive, and I'm not doing that much pressure. I'm going to switch so that I give equal, because this, I'm kind of pressing more with like one side than the other, so it's important to switch to give it evenness. So I'm going to keep going like this. And then I'm going to switch it. So this is an even pulling, not too much, slow process. So you're not going all at once. This is, you're using gravity and water to your advantage. You can even do this, where you're kind of going this way instead of this way, or this way. So you're kind of getting the sides. But I'm mostly going to do the this and this because I want it to lengthen. So I'm pulling down versus like this way or this way. Just being mindful of that. Just forming my hands to how I want the clay to react is what I'm going to do with my hands to pull that clay. So if I want it to be more like more inward on the side, I'm going to kind of place my hand and apply pressure on the sides and do even. And I'm flipping my hand, so I'm doing one this way and then one this way. Same with this and this, because I want it to be even. So I'm going to do a little bit longer. Okay, I'm going to kind of rub right there, make sure that it's nice and smooth. Do one more pull like that, flip it, and then down. So you can see it looks kind of cute. Let's do a little bit longer. Where's that bottom area? I'm dripping everywhere. Oh gosh, you can't even see. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. Taking my needle tool, make it clean. This thing focus. I'm going to kind of cut this at an angle like that. So now I have clay left over. And now I'm going to use this. Just going to push that down. I'm going to use this scratching tool again. That's why it's pretty, like, this is a nice tool because it helps to smooth out things and combine things together. So I'm just going to use that to scratch this surface. So now it's all scratched. And now it is easier for me to use my finger to smooth out and press down the clay and make it combine into one again, because I want it to look like it's just pulled from this handle. And that's the look that I'm going for. So I'm going to use my needle tool again because there's kind of just a big glob over here. And I'm going to kind of take a little bit out, get my foot back. Hopefully you saw that. So this is what it looks like right now. You see, I didn't even touch the inside. You can if you want it to look like it's both coming out like this. You can totally add clay to this. Okay. Keep cleaning up my bottom. There we go. I'm taking my sponge. It just has a little bit of water. I mostly took out all the water though. And I'm just going to smooth this out even more. And you can even use your brush and get into that little tiny crevice right there. And kind of just smooth that piece out too. And make that one. Now the sponge will kick up the it'll make the surface harder hard. Oh my gosh, it'll kick up the rocks. Oh my gosh. It will kick up the rocks when you use a sponge on top of a already thrown surface, because you can see here. Let's focus. You can see here it's thrown, so it's kind of like the pores are kind of closed, but then over here is it's sponge, and you can see that is a little bit more scratchy. So just be mindful of that. But glaze is going to go over top of it, so I think we're gonna be fine. Or you can sand it. Anywho, I'm going to take my sponge again with not too much water, and I'm just going to sponge up here again around this because I want it to be very smooth, like it's coming out. You can even use your fingers to kind of smooth it out like more. Sometimes I do this to make sure that it's like really connected and that it's just like a nice gradual. Having no nails is key in mug making. Well, it helps me, but I don't know. That's looking pretty good. It's a little bit thin right there. So I'm just going to take a little bit of clay, roll it, roll the clay, pancake the clay, and add a little bit of clay. Actually, first I want to see if I can just push it back in. Let's see if that works. Not. Doesn't quite work. So I'm gonna add some clay to it. The trick is you don't want to take out too much clay. Sometimes I see people like using their needle tool and like really gouging out all this clay. But you want clay on there so that it will see strong, is what I'm trying to say. Oh my gosh. So I'm going to use my little scratchy tool again and scratch it into being one. Use my finger again. And I'm just kind of adding clay now to where I think I need it. So you can see right there. Let's go, please. Yep, whatever. You can see right here that there's like a little bit nothing. So I'm just gonna add a little dollop to that and smooth that out. So what I was saying about taking out too much is you want it to be thicker, not thinner. Like, you don't want it to be too thin where it's just gonna break. And also, once you make this handle, you don't want to touch it because it's very, very delicate. And another trick is the body. The body has to be drier than when you put this handle on, because this handle, if you think about it, there's more air around it and it'll dry faster. So I say if you really want to smooth this out even more, you can use a wooden knife, and you can just kind of, that would be like enough of scraping, but I kind of don't like the idea of taking off, because you're kind of taking off the bulk of your piece of what's holding it on. So I like to make it a little bit thicker than thinner, is what I'd like to say. Is what I do say. Anyways, hopefully that makes sense. Let me tweak this just a tad bit more. And final around with the sponge. Leave it on the handle, make it nice. And also making sure that it's straight this way and straight this way. So just making sure that these two pieces are aligned. They look pretty good to me. And making sure that it's aligned to your mug so it's straight through, not at an angle. So that looks pretty good to me. And yeah, I like this little style. Okay, at some point you gotta finish it off. And you can even use the really, I don't even know how to explain this. It's just like a really fine sponge, I guess. And it's really nice for smoothing out. So you can even use this for smoothing out, but I don't see a difference with like how it smooths out. But sometimes I like to use this for like around the rim, making sure that it's nice and pretty. So that is how I make handles. I'm going to now place this upside down so that it can dry, and with a bunch of other mugs. So you can see all the handles are facing each other, facing inward, because it just allows for an even dry. And I'm going to cover these up really tightly, tighter than this, and let them dry for maybe a week or two, depending, until they're bone dry, and then they're ready to go. Thanks so much for watching me make a handle for my mugs. If you enjoyed this, leave me a like and comment and follow, and it helps me out a ton. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next episode, next video.